29. All right, they want me to factor the whole thing. First thing they tell me is that negative 4 is the solution. So right now I know, and it's multiplicity too, right now I know x plus 4 squared is going to be part of my linear factorization. So it can't be A. It can't be, it can't be B. It can't be C. It can be D. All right, I got to figure out which one it is. So now, to solve an x cubed, remember, I'm going to mode 5 for it. I'm going to type in the leading coefficient of up here, 1, equals. Then I'm going to type in the negative 48, equals. Then I'm going to type in, gotta go back. There's no x squared term. So I'm going to type in 1 equals 0 x squared equals negative 48 equals negative 128 equals. Hit equals again. And x minus 8. I know it says x equals 8, but if x equals 8, x minus 8 is a linear factor. So it's going to have to be choice B. You have all the possible rational zeros. So I'm going to take that 8, and I'm going to put it over 2. It's going to be the factors of 8 over the factors of 2. Factors of 8 are plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 4, plus minus 8. The factors of 2 are plus minus 1, plus minus 2. So what's all the possible rational zeros? So I'm going to have 1, 2, 4, and 8, and then 1/2, and that's it. So it's got to go up to 8. That doesn't, and it's got to have a half in it. No 1/4, 1/2, 1, 2, 4, 8, 1/2. It's going to be choice C. 31. Find the zeros. When you ask me to find the zeros and factor it, I'm going to mode 5 4 if it's x cubed. So I hit mode 5 4. I'm going to type in the leading coefficients of the question. 1, hit equals, 2, hit equals, negative 16, hit equals, and negative 32. Hit equals. So 4 is one of my answers. Notice, I have 4 there, I have 4 there, I have 4 there. Negative 2, so mine is 4, negative 2, and negative 4. So there are my answers. So 4, negative 2, and 4. There's only one question that has all three of them. And then let's notice that when x equals negative 2, x plus 2 is a linear factor. When x equals negative 4, x plus 4 is a linear factor. And when x equals 4, x minus 4 is a linear factor. It is choice B. They give us an equation, and they want to know what's the factored form. This is the note where y equals x is going to look like this. Y equals x squared is going to look like a u. X cubed is going to look like the snake. And then x to the fourth is going to look like a w. So notice I have this w shape, and it's x to the fourth. And then negative x to the fourth would look like a big M. So they're trying to trick us. Notice how on some of these there's a leading negative, and that means it would be the big M shape. And this one is not the big M shape. This one's the big W shape. So right now we know it's x to the fourth. Another thing, another dead giveaway is that it goes through 6, and that there's probably 6 on our graph. But what we really need to focus on is our x-intercepts. So that's x equals negative 3 at that spot. X equals negative 3. That means x plus 3 is going to be one of our linear factors. Goes through x equals negative 1. That means x plus 1. Notice I have x plus 1 in this one. I have an x plus 1 and x minus 3, but it can't be B because that would be upside down. That would be the M shape. I'm looking for this W, x to the fourth, positive out front. The next spot it goes through is 1. So at x equals 1, the linear factor is going to be x minus 1. So it's looking like it's going to be choice A. And then it goes through 2. And that means at x equals 2, the linear factor is going to be x minus 2. So it's going to be choice A. Again, my little note. If you are allowed to take a note card in, it's going to be x to the first. Looks like this. X to the second. It's going to be up on the left, up on the right. And then x to the third is going to be down on the left, up on the right. X to the fourth. And we start to get a little redundant here. It's going to be up on the left, up on the right. So any even problem is going to be up, up. If I put a negative in front of these, negative x would be down. It would be up on the left, down on the right. Negative x squared, that would be an upside down or down, down. Negative x cubed, that's going to be up on the left, down on the right. So we notice the pattern that if it's even with a negative out front, and even exponent with a negative out front, it's going to be upside down. So let's take a look at the highest exponent for number 33. It's 6, so that's going to fit the even pattern. But it's positive 5 out front, so that's going to be up, up. Choice C. 34 has to deal with asymptotes. So find the horizontal asymptote. The horizontal asymptote is right here, a horizontal line at y equals 4. So the horizontal asymptote is y equals 4. And I'm done. I'm done. It has to be that. The vertical asymptote is at x equals negative 3 and x equals positive 3. And they're allowed to give us this plus minus symbol. So that's choice B. Find the horizontal asymptote. The rule is if the degree of the top is smaller than the degree of the bottom, automatically the horizontal asymptote is going to be y equals 0. That's a note that we have to know. Vertical asymptote. So I want to know which one has a vertical asymptote of x equals 4. What that means is at x minus 4 on the bottom is where there's going to be a vertical asymptote. Sometimes if there's a value on top that cancels out with the x minus 4, it wouldn't be an asymptote, it would be a hole. But right now, if I put a 4 into an x minus 4, I get 4 minus 4, and that's going to be 0 on the bottom. And we know anything divided by 0 is undefined. So I'm going to look for an x minus 4 on the bottom, and there it is. It's got to be on the bottom. It can't be on the top. No dice. It's got to be choice D. So here's my equation. And since this equation has two quantities on the bottom, that means I'm going to have a vertical asymptote at x equals negative 2 and a vertical asymptote at x equals 5. So at negative, I'm going to put an x-axis. And at negative 2, I'm going to have a vertical asymptote. At 5, I'm going to have a vertical asymptote. Also notice, the degree of the top is 1. The degree of the bottom is actually x squared. So that means it's going to have a horizontal asymptote right along the x-axis. And I believe all these pictures have that. Same vertical and horizontal asymptotes. This is where it gets a little tricky. Mode 7. The table mode will help us out. And I'm going to type that in just like it looks. I'm going to hit that fraction bar. I'm going to type in 3 alpha red x on top. Down arrow, quantity, alpha red x, plus 2, close parentheses, open parentheses. Alpha red x, minus 5. People want to know where I start and where I stop. I don't need g of x, I just hit equals again. And now, where do I start? Well, each of these graphs looks like it goes from negative 8 to 8, doesn't it? Negative 8 to 8. Negative 8 to 8. So I'm going to be kind of cheap and start at negative 6 and end at 6. And that should cover all the information I need. I'm going to step by 1. Now notice, at negative 6, it's negative 0.409. See it? At negative 6, it's negative 0.409. At negative 6, it's negative. At negative 6, this one's positive. It cannot be choice B. At negative 6, this one's negative. At negative 6, this one's positive. So right now, I got to narrow down to 2 choices between A and C. I'm going to go to 0. At 0, it is 0. This one goes through 0, 0, still working. This one does not go through 0, 0. That's just a little bit above 0, so it cannot be choice C. So just using the calculator, I can get all the information I need. If it's 1-to-1, find the inverse. Notice it's to the first power. It's a line. A line is a 1-to-1 function. It passes the vertical line test, and it passes the horizontal line test everywhere. So because it's 1-to-1, I'm going to find the inverse. Now let's look at this. This is actually a y equals 3x plus 5. To find the inverse, we're going to flip-flop the x and the y. So now I'm just going to solve this for y. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That's going to give me x minus 5 equals 3y. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And that pretty much puts me at done. I'm done. X minus 5 over 3 is the inverse. Choice A. This is 1-to-1. If it's got an odd power, it's 1-to-1. If it's got an even power, it's not 1-to-1. So they want me to find the inverse of this again. This is a y equals. So I'm going to rewrite it as x equals y cubed minus 7. And now I'm going to solve it for y. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. That's going to give me x plus 7 equals y cubed. And now I'm going to do the opposite of cubing something. I'm going to cube root both sides. Cube root both sides, and that gives me my answer, the cube root of x plus 7. And that 7 has to be inside the radical. And that's choice B. Solve the equation. I'm going to rely on the calculator for this one, and this is pretty wonderful. To solve the equation with this one, there's a little trick on this Casio. I'm going to use these 4 buttons up here, okay? I'm actually going to use the shift, the solve, the alpha, and the equals. And I'm going to type this in just like it looks. See if we can't get it all on the screen. So I'm going to hit mode 1. That's important. It can't be in complex mode. And I'm going to type this in just like it looks. 4 to the 2 minus 3x. Right arrow. Now, you don't want to hit the equals button. You want to hit the alpha equals button. We're going to type it in. Alpha equals. Alpha equals. And that's going to equal 1 over 256. Now, don't hit equals. Don't hit it yet. You want to solve it. See how it says solve the equation? So I'm going to hit shift solve. Now, it's asking me to guess. So I'm going to look at their choices, and I'm going to guess 2. Because 2 is one of the answers, wasn't it? Now, if I guess right, it's going to do it really quickly. Now that I typed in 2, now, finally, hit the equals button. Boom. It worked. And I know it works because it'll say left, right equals 0. That means that's the correct answer. If it has a number down here where the LR is, that means you have to hit equals again and keep running it until it gets the correct answer. But right now, we lucked out. The answer is 2. This is the print problem. So it gives us the present value. I'm going to write down P, R, N, T. And the principal is $2,789. The interest rate is 7%. That's going to be, as a decimal, 0.07. The number of times it is compounded, it says quarterly. So some people say 1/4 or 4. And the amount of time we're leaving this thing in for is 6 years. So we put a 6 there. And now I'm going to set up the formula. It's going to be a big parentheses with a 1 plus a fraction bar, all raised to an exponent. And what goes on the fraction bar, we can see is right here. 0.07 over 4. Then what goes up in the X box is going to be 4 times 6. Some people can do that in their head. Sometimes the numbers aren't that comfortable, so they just type in up here 4 times 6. And now we're going to enter this whole entity into the calculator. Just like it looks. I'm going to go to AC, clear it out. And I'm going to type in 2, 7, 8, 9, open parentheses, 1 plus the fraction bar, 0.07 on top, down arrow, 4 on the bottom, right arrow, close parenthesis, raise it to a power, 4 times 6. Hit equals, and it'll give me one of those choices. 4229. Choice C. And notice it rounded for me. Because it's money, it's going to be to the nearest tenth. I'm sorry, nearest hundredth. So if it's 5 or above, you give that 5 a shove. So that's going to be 36. And notice that's choice C. Find the future value, 11 years, compounded semi-annually. Another print problem, P, R, N, T. The present value is $51,953. My interest rate is 6%, 0.06. Compounded semi-annually. Semi-annually means 2. Biannually means 2 also. N equals 2. The time that I'm leaving this in for is 11 years. I'm going to set up the problem. Big parentheses. 1 plus the division bar to an X box, power. It goes pretty smoothly. Notice the 0.06 over 2. And then up here, the 2 times 11. And it'll enter into the calculator really conveniently. 51953, open parentheses, 1 plus fraction bar, 0.06, down arrow, 2, right arrow, close parentheses, to a power of 2 times 11. I could have done that in my head, but I'm just going to type it in. And that gives me 99,547. And right on the money. This time they didn't round too much. I mean, they didn't take it out to the nearest penny. They took it to the nearest dollar. But it's multiple choice, so that's kind of nice. Choice C. Um, 43. They want me to write that in logarithmic form. The base is 10. So it's going to be log base 10 of the answer 0.00001 equals whatever the exponent is. So that's going to give me choice A. 44. Solve the equation. Now this one goes pretty smoothly if you know the move. You can log leg kick that 5 over there. That log kicks that 5 over there and pushes up to 2. And then the log runs away. And that gives me x equals 5 to the negative 2. And we can type that right in the calculator. 5 to the negative 2. And it's going to give me 1 over 25. Choice C. Another method. Let's try our other method and see what happens. If I just type it in, log base 5 of x equals negative 2, and see if it'll generate the right answer for me. So I'm going to hit the log base button of 5, alpha red x, right arrow. Don't hit the equal sign. You're going to want to hit the alpha red equals. Alpha red equals. And it's going to equal negative 2. Don't hit the equal sign. You're going to hit the shift solve. Now I'm going to guess one of those choices. I know it's 1 over 25, but I'm going to guess 3. I'm going to guess 3. So I'm going to type in 3, take a guess. Now, when you guess incorrectly, it takes a long time for it to generate the answer. And that says 0.04. So I got to answer 0.04. Now, none of these are in decimal, are they? So here's what you can do. You go to your calculator and just type in 0.04. When the calculator solved it, it couldn't write it as a fraction. But now that you're not solving, you're just writing it. It gives you the exact fraction that you need. 1 over 25. Graphing. Log base 4 of x minus 3 wrapped in parentheses. So that's kind of important to see that that's wrapped in parentheses. The log graph on the xy axis is going to creep along the y-axis, go through 1, 0, and then curve to the right. Now, because I have this, x minus 3, it's actually going to shift right 3. So the picture will be this shape, but it'll go through to the right a little bit. This is not the correct shape. This is the correct shape, and it looks like it went right 3. Notice the domain starts at 3. I think it's going to be B. This one is the right shape, but it looks like it went down 3 instead of right 3. So it's not C. And again, this one isn't even the right shape. It has to be choice B. It wants me to expand this out. So I have 1, 2, 3 items. I have 3 items. So I'm going to write log 3 times. Log, log, log. Base 6, base 6, base 6. 4, 10, 9. 4, 10, 9. Now, the 4 has nothing with it, but it's on top, so it's a positive. I don't need to put that positive there. The 10 is square rooted. So I could write this as 10 to the 1/2, but you don't want that up there. That defeats the purpose of the log. That 1/2 actually goes out in front. Notice that root 10 is on top, so that's going to be a positive. 1/2 log base 6 of 10. The 9 is on the bottom, so this is kind of important. If it's on the bottom, it gets a negative. So that's my answer. I'm going to look for that. Log base 4, 1/2 log. It's going to be choice A is the first one. It matches right up. Not bad. Let's see how they try to trick you. No, there will never be a division bar if it says to expand it. No, there'll never be a radical bar. There'll never be a division bar if it tells you to expand it. Notice this one has the minus sign in the right spot. But once again, if they tell you to expand it, you're going to actually take these multiplications and make them additions. They left the multiplication in there, so it can't be choice D. This is just a simple calculator key in. You got to know which log button to hit. Notice it doesn't have a base, so you're just going to hit the log button right here that says log. There's the log base button, and then there's just the log button. Hit the log button and be accurate. Type that thing in. 0.0022400, close parentheses, hit equals, and match it up. 26498. Choice A.